Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And on this 10-minute moan, the topic is the inside story as to why Humza Yousaf ripped up the agreement with Scottish Greens. Now, just before I start, people often ask how can I help the channel? Well, you can subscribe or you can even join as a member. But if you just give me a thumbs up in the video at the bottom of the screen, that'll go a long way in spreading the reach of each video. So anyway, back to the story. Those who have been keeping a keen eye on my videos since Thursday will have picked up a couple of times I've asked the same question, and then a few times I've made the same suggestion as to why this agreement between the SNP and the Scottish Greens was ripped up. I found it quite incredible that during First Minister's questions and the several times he had contact with the nation's press, nobody asked Humza Yousaf why he done it. I found this incredible, and it left us all sort of guessing. But most people took it for granted that it was due to the climate change, the climate target, the CO2 target for 2030 being abolished. Because on one day the week before, the SNP announced that they were abolishing their target for CO2 emissions by 2030, and also we saw the Sandiford Clinic under instruction from the NHS in Scotland to bin issuing new prescriptions for beta blockers for the time being. And I had often, and people who follow my videos regularly will agree with me here, that I've said regularly that it wasn't the climate change as people were jumping on, that's why it was put in the bin. It was the purity blockers that caused the issue and the CAS report findings. So let's read the exclusive from the Sunday Mail today. The First Minister's decision to rip up the Bute House agreement might have left his party more fractured than ever, writes John Ferguson and Hannah Roger. This is a moment that Patrick Harvie sealed his party's fate and set in motion a chain of events that would see the Greens kicked out of government and Humza Yousaf fighting for his job. Now what they've done here is they've included a video of Harvie having a car crash of an interview on BBC. The Sunday Mail can reveal that just hours after the car crash BBC interview, where, oh, hold on, something gone wrong with the laptop, flew up the top of the page here, where he trashed Dr. Hilary Cassie's report into gender identity services, Alba MSP Ash Regan's vote of no confidence in Harvie was destabilising the minister's position, because Ash Regan, the former SNP leader candidate who now is part of the Alba Party, she'd tabled a motion for a vote of no confidence in Harvie after his disastrous interview where he couldn't say if he actually took any of the CAS report on board because he wasn't sure if it was accurate or not. Anyway, Humza Yousaf discovered she had backing from a number of SNP backbenchers, and with Westminster leader Stephen Flynn heading to Edinburgh for urgent talks, he was forced to act to save his political career. A senior SNP source said Harvie is clearly raging at what he believes has been a betrayal of his party by Yousaf, but the truth is that he did this himself as his completely unacceptable comments on the CAS report. Ash Regan's motion of no confidence was going to get significant support, including from a sizeable rebellion of SNP MSPs. It was going to lead to a vote in Parliament, and Humza's position, if he continued to support Harvie and the Greens deal, would have become untenable. The FM had absolutely no choice but to take steps to end the Bute agreement. It was just a matter of how he did it. By sacking the Greens in the most humiliating manner possible, he has clearly enraged Harvie so much that he now wants to destroy the First Minister at all costs. A smarter strategy could have been to put the Bute House agreement to an SNP vote in the same way the Greens were prepared to vote on it, but one way or another, it was dead in the water. Yousaf was relaxing with his family last Sunday, having faced one of the most difficult weeks since becoming First Minister. The former chief executive of his party, Peter Morrell, had been arrested and charged with embezzling party funds. He was forced to admit his government had hugely overpromised on climate targets, and his junior government partners were planning a vote on the future of their landmark power sharing agreement. At a meeting of the SNP ruling body on Saturday, he told senior SNP figures he wanted to keep the Butte House agreement and did not want to give SNP members a vote in the deal. That was pretty peculiar. A source at the meeting said a number of us wanted to put into a vote of our own membership. Humza said no. I'm not considering that. I'm fully committed to the Greens, and asking the question would open us up to criticism and make it a story. Wow. He was really in support of the cooperation agreement, which is why this was all the more baffling for everyone. But less than 24 hours after Yousaf's assurances to colleagues, Harvey refused to back the world-leading paediatrician Dr. Hilary Cass' report, where she found there was a remarkably weak evidence to support puberty treatment for children. He told the Sunday Show the report had clearly been politicised and suggested there was far too many criticisms of the report to be able to say that he agreed with its findings. What I found odd about that interview was the criticism on our findings wasn't by clinicians, it was by activists. And because so many of them was critical of it, that meant Patrick was unable to say if he agreed with it or not. Patrick lost the plot last Sunday. Women's rights campaigner Reagan, the sole MSP in Alex Salmond's Alba party, had resigned from the SNP front bench last year over the Gender Recognition Reform Bill and self-ID. She accused Harvey of siding with ideology over evidence by refusing to accept the report's recommendations, which urged extreme caution over puberty-blocking drugs for gender-questioning children. The MSP tabled a motion of no confidence in Harvey the following day. On Tuesday, Yousaf was praising the Green Agreement as worth its weight in gold, but by Wednesday it became clear that the NSP rebels were lining up to back their former colleague. While Harvey and his Green colleagues were joking around the Holyrood canteen, Stephen Flynn, the SNP Westminster's leader, was on his way to Edinburgh for crunch talks. Flynn's intervention, along with input from Yousaf's chief advisor, Colin McAllister, was instrumental in convincing the FM to tear up the Butte House agreement and take ruthless measures against Harvey and co-leader Lorna Slater. Another SNP source said Flynn came into Holyrood for a coffee on Wednesday afternoon, which is what played a big part in the way Humza handled the Greens by marching them to Butte House on the Thursday morning. Flynn was no fan of the agreement, and he made that very clear. He wanted shot of it because he thought it seriously harmed the SNP's election chances in Westminster. There you go, looking after herself again. He wants more investment in oil and gas and also wants action on the A96, both of which the Greens are against. Now, when you think this guy's an MP for up in Aberdeenshire, you can understand why oil, gas and the A96 are quite important to him. And if we'd done nothing about either, could probably cost him his job. Yet Flynn's intervention has sparked another rift in the party. This gets better. One SNP MSP said Stephen Flynn's involvement has also left quite a few of us with little time for the Westminster group. Look at it this way. Humza attacks Labour for taking orders from Westminster when he's just done the exact same thing. It's hypocritical and weak. A group meeting on Thursday night of SNP MSPs was described by one attendee as not in the top 10 worst meetings we've had. They must have had some crackers in. Is that right? Well, not all 63 MSPs turned up. Those that did are in shock or concerned about Yousaf's decision. Nicola Sturgeon's ex-sidekick and senior nationalist John Swinney was trying to bring people together while Yousaf tried to convince his party the change in direction was a positive one. While the First Minister might just survive this week's vote of no confidence, it now looks as though divisions in his party are running deep. many believe his days in Bute House are now numbered. This is nuts. This is absolutely fantastic reading for somebody like me who's a proper unionist who hates the SNP. The splits now seem several. Because I know there's some in the SNP that were actually a bit peeved off that he broke off the agreement. There's now some that are peeved off that he caved into MPs in Westminster and their involvement. And there's some that just think he shows lack of leadership because he's been flip-flopping all over the place. This guy can't survive. There is no way his party can continue to support him as a leader, and more importantly, as a First Minister. So, you can imagine this week as we delve into a week of heavy politics where he'll try and carry favour with, first of all, Ash Regan of Alba, where she's obviously going to hold him to ransom, put a gun to her head and make the most ridiculous demands she's ever considered. And those in his own party who, bear in mind, there is a vote of no confidence on the entire government. They might think that the easiest thing to do would be put in a more cuddly and acceptable First Minister to appease those who are wanting to have a vote of no confidence on the government, which would lead to an instant election and then potentially jeopardise their jobs. So I think it's all fun and games. I don't think anybody can tell us exactly what's going to happen and when, but I think the wise money is that regardless of the outcome of the two votes of no confidence, the one on Humza himself by the Tories and the one on the government by Labour, I think it's probable that regardless of what happens with them, Humza Yousaf will not be the leader of the SNP and in turn the First Minister for long. I can't see a way out of this appeasing all the opposition, or some of the opposition, and those within his own party who seem to have had enough of his poor and weak leadership. So, I think we're in for another fun week in Scottish politics this week. Can't guarantee it will be as mental as last week, or the one before was a bit mad as well, right enough. So, we could be heading for the third week. We've got vote of no confidence in the First Minister, vote of no confidence in the whole government. We've got rifts in the SNP party in Holyrood, and we've also got rifts in the SNP party between the Holyrood and the Westminster members. And we've also got this thing that seems to have been forgotten about by many over the last few days called Branch Forum that could rear its head again this week. So stay tuned, it's going to be fun, and I'll get the news out to folk as quickly as I get it myself. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing and hit the notification button. But the most important thing of all, unless you're Humza Yousaf, his mad party, or any of the vastly dwindling numbers that remain followers and supporters in his cult. See, for everybody else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.